When you first go to prison, it's the middle of the night, and you have to get naked, and you have to, squat and cough, and make sure they basically razz you up. And so it was probably about 30 degrees outside, with probably 200 other dudes getting naked, and I probably told God a million times that I was never going to do it again. Unfortunately, that's not the case. My name is Blake Corton. Hear my story. I was born here in Winter Park, Seminole County, and had a nice place, nice home. Everything was pretty good. In my teenage years, getting to there, my dad lost his job, started getting diabetes, and they started chopping from the little toe all the way up the knee on both of them. We started falling on hard times financially. My parents started not doing. The relationship wasn't that great. He started not living in the house, and would work all the time, and even with diabetes and bad legs and everything like that, would not come in the house. So it started becoming, we started going downhill from there. We got evicted from my early teens, probably 2 homes, and by the time I was an adult, probably 7. We lived in a church for a while, right down the street in Oviedo. My first 2 years of high school were really good. I played football. I was a state champ of wrestling in the 152 weight class. I did really well, and then my second 2 years of high school, I got into a band, started playing bass, started doing extracurricular activities that probably wouldn't be smoking, drinking, stuff like that. Well, number one, I graduated high school, and that night I get arrested for having pot. So I was on probation for the first year of going to college. I kind of started doing pills, different pills here and there, drinking a lot. I always found that if I was drinking or doing something, that I would be a lot more funny, and I'd be willing to do stupider stuff. So people would like me, people would talk to me, I'd get talked about, I'd get the attention, I'd get the validation that I always wanted. Over time, that kind of changed, and one day I was working at a paint and body shop as I was going to college, and somebody asked me if my back was hurting, and I said no, and they said, no, your back's hurting, you should try this. I didn't understand what I'd really gotten into, to be completely honest with you. I didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. But I kept on upping the ante, all the way to the point where I started selling my college books so that I could get more pills. Stealing from my fiance at that time, stealing from her so that I could continue to propel my drug habit, basically. From that point on, I started intravenously using. I started stealing more. I got on more probation for stealing, and then at a certain point of being on probation, I got a new charge, and I was probably going to go to prison. So on that day when I got arrested, I honestly, it didn't really faze me. I just kind of went through the motions. I remember the first day I had 4 or 5 months that I was in jail, and I remember the first day, it was February 1st, and when you first go to prison, it's the middle of the night, and you have to get naked, and you have to squat and cough, and make sure they basically razz you up. And so it was probably about 30 degrees outside, with probably 200 other dudes getting naked and being screamed and yelled at, going into the reception unit for the Orlando area. And from that point on, I probably told God a million times that I was never going to do it again. Unfortunately, that's not the case. After the 19 months, I went to all sorts of things, all sorts of classes. I went to NA, AA, Celebrate Recovery, all that stuff while I was there, and it never took. Got out of prison. I went back to work. I said I would never use again, but I ended up using eventually after about a month. And they say that like your addiction's doing push-ups when you're not using. Well, I went back full swing and got even worse. I ended up having to move back in with my mom, which I said I would never go back to. And, I had, over the years, just put her through the ringer. So it wasn't a very healthy place to be. And most of that is on my end. That's most of my side of the street. But I ended up being there, waking up every morning, not wanting to live. Just trying. Every day I would wake up, my options were I wake up and figure out who I'm going to steal from, or who I'm going to manipulate from, or who I'm going to wrong. And then I try to go back to sleep for as long as I can until I can't sleep anymore, and I end up doing those things. And at one point, I had a friend that went to rehab, and she had 3 months clean, probably 6 months clean tops, and she got me into the rehab that I ended up going to. And I still said that I was not going to stay clean when I got in there, but eventually, after being there for 60 days, something clicked. Something clicked. All those sayings that you hear, one day at a time, more will be revealed, surrender. All these things that you hear, they started meaning something to me. It was probably the funnest, scariest, and best time of my life ever, because the wreckage of my past was coming like a freight train. I had a community of people that were helping me to learn to love myself, learn to live a new way, and learn to handle things with spiritual principles. And now I am trying to take into account other people's feelings, my feelings, understand who I am, what God means to me, what I can do to serve God, and honestly, who am I, and what's my purpose, and where do I fit in, and how do I fulfill that purpose. Right now, I have a little over 7 years clean. I am a business owner. I took $1,000 and bought a whole bunch of equipment and put it in the back of my Hyundai Sonata at the time. And now it's turned into a very profitable business that feeds my family. I do have a family now because I married another woman that was in recovery. And she had 2 daughters that call me dad now, even though I'm not their biological father. I am very active in NA. I'm very active in helping other people. I go to a treatment center every Wednesday of the week. I try to actively work the steps in my life, most primarily the maintenance steps, which is 10, 11, and 12, which is knowing who I am. 11 is knowing God's will for me and having the power to carry that out. And number 12 is after having a spiritual awakening, helping other people. So I try to continue to do that in my life. If you feel like you're broken, you're not broken. You might just be a little bit sick and you need a little bit of healing. I know that I've been to the exact same places and been in that hole, and I've dug myself out with the help of some people that love and care about me. You just need to find your community. Find a way to work through some of the pain that has been caused to you and you've caused towards yourself, and find a way to get out of that self-centered routine and help people.